Hello, this is Piyush. This is a tutorial on how to set up your GitHub to be able to, use the command line without having to log into GitHub each time. What we're going to do here today is we're going to use the SSH or secure shell mode of accessing GitHub through the command line. In order to do that, there are several things we need to do to set up. So the first thing we're going to do is set up our encryption keys on our local bash or Linux environment. The second thing we're going to do is add the public portion of that key to our GitHub profile. And the third thing we're going to do is provide the correct URL in our Git remote for our repository. So these are the three things we need to do, and let's go and do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that you guys don't have a security key. So we're going to create a security key. Now I'm going to say SSH keygen. This is a command that will generate the key. So it says generating public and private RSA key pairs. By default, it creates a key in my home directory, which is users/pu slash there's a .ssh folder which has all the SSH related stuff. And inside that folder, it'll create a key. The file name is ID RSA. So I'm going to accept this default name, hit enter. It says the key already exists. If I overwrite it, then all my current connections with SSH using this default key will be broken. For this demo, I'm okay overwriting it, so I'm going to say yes. This one is to add another layer of security on my key, which is add a password to it. But for academic purposes, I don't need that level of security. So I'm just going to hit enter, which is no password, no passphrase. Okay, it's done. It has created a new pair of keys. The first key is the ID RSA file. And the second key is the public file, the idrsa.pub. Now what I'm going to do the second part of it, which is I'm going to post this idrsa.pub, the public version of the file, on GitHub. But before that, let me show you what these keys look like. So if I say more ID RSA, see, that's my key. A lot more secure than the password you might enter on your command line. Let's see what the idrsa.pub file looks like. This is shorter, but it's also much better than any password that I might use. So this is a preferred way of connecting to remote resources, for example, a remote server that we will use later on. Right now, I'm just gonna copy this key. I'm gonna copy this out all the way up to here. Copy it, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to the GitHub website, and let me show that to you. So here I hop over to my GitHub account. I need to go to my settings, not my profile. I need to go to my settings, and in my settings I have many different settings, my GitHub settings. I'm going to go to the SSH and GPG keys, and I got a bunch of keys here, and that's fine. I'm going to add a new key. So I'm not going to add a GPG key. This is not a kind of key, but I'm going to add a new SSH key. So I'll say new SSH key. I'll give it a title. My newest iMac 27, that's my computer. ID RSA, just enough so I know what key this is. And here I'm going to paste my public key. And the reason this is called public key is this is something you can share with remote servers like GitHub. You can share it with other users. There's absolutely no security risk in sharing this information. This is used to confirm that you are who you say you are. And I would need to type in my password again. I type in my password, and if I come down and look, my key has been added to my GitHub profile. I'm going to pause the recording, hop over to command line, and then start using this key. But now I have created the key, installed the public portion of that key on GitHub. I need to point my repository over to the SSH. Okay, so back into my command line, I want to go over to my repository and actually show you what this remote link looks like. So I'm going to go back to my home, which is this folder. And from here, I'm going to go to the way I have this set up. I've put it in a folder called WebStorm Projects, ACC Bootcamp. I go to, I have a repository called website. So if I look inside of here, I got, this is a Git repository. I have a Git file here. I'd like to know, where is this Git pointing to? So I'm going to say git remote -v, and it says I have a remote called origin, and this points to this URL for fetching and pushing. It's the same URL for both actions. So now that is good. That is what I need for SSH access to this repository. If it were not the case, let me create another one here to show you what this would look like if I was not using the SSH access. I'm going to go to, I'll create a temporary, make directory temporary folder. I'll go to temporary folder, and inside the temporary I'll git clone, and here I'll type in my the website repositories URL. So let me get there. I'm going to my website repository. I click on the clone or download button, and then I am copying the URL. I paste the URL here. So you see, this URL looks very different. It starts with HTTPS. So this goes over HTTP, the secure HTTP, over to GitHub, as compared to this one, the original one, which was going over directly to the server, not through the HTTP. So the first one, this one is the SSH version, this one is the HTTP version. Now if I did this, it created the repository called website. I go to website, and here if I say git remote -v, you see my remotes are pointing to HTTPS. So this is it. Once you set this up, you may have to edit your remote, but you know what would be easier is just to remove your repository from your local folder. So I'm going to go to, so if I look inside of here, I've got actually I need to go up one. And if I look here, I have this temporary folder, and this temporary folder has the website repository in it. I want to get rid of this. So here I'm going to say remove -rf. This is a very powerful command, can be dangerous if you don't use it judiciously. So the -r means go recursively, find all the folders inside of this folder that I'm trying to remove and get rid of them, get rid of all the files. And F means do it by force, which means don't ask me for confirmation each time. And I'm going to say temporary. and boom, that folder is gone. The website folder inside it, the .git inside that, all the files there, everything is gone. All of this stuff is gone. So you could remove your local repository. Do it carefully. You don't want to remove something that you need. You may actually remove this using Finder or File Explorer if you prefer to do that. And once you've done that, git clone your repository again using the SSH version. This would set it up all correctly. So let me show that to you. So I'm back into my GitHub folder. This is my website. This is my repository called website, its page. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say use SSH. So I want this URL. And the easy way to copy this is just click on this button. It gets copied to your clipboard. Now get back to your command line. And here, actually, I'm going to remove the website repository also. And here I'll say git clone, paste that SSH version of the URL. Boom, I got it back. Now if I go into website and say git remote, my remote is now pointed to the SSH version. So make sure you do that conversion, and Git command line will never ask you for login and password again. Hopefully this would save you some time and also help you understand how SSH kind of is set up and works.